Drift competition is here, and it is, dare I say, excellent. As updates go, this has been a great one in general, but drifting has been the icing on the cake, and I must say, is long overdue. I'm glad they didn't use the drift tire setup from the tuner update, so we're already off to a good start. I don't want to wait around, so let's get you ready to drift. Unlike regular racing that's based on speed, drift racing is based on going sideways. So it's not required to customize a vehicle to win. To reinforce this, when you add the drift option, you'll deactivate the performance options for the vehicle as long as the drift function is applied. Don't worry, they'll come back after you remove the drift mod, but I don't want you thinking because you can't afford it that you can't drift. That being said, we're told that tuning doesn't matter, but for some reason, I find that it does. The vehicle's performance is much more linear with a custom car, so if you have the option to upgrade, go for it. But if you can't, don't let it stop you. If you want to upgrade any vehicle that you own, the following list will allow you to bring it into the tuner meet and have Hal take a look at it. The top option will say drift, and you can select your drift upgrade for $200,000. It'll cost $50,000 to remove it, which will reapply any performance modifications. And that's it. If you're looking for a video that covers all these vehicles and their relative difficulty, click the featured video here at the end of this one, and we'll provide a link in the description as well. Once you set up your vehicle, you're going to want to race. And if you're looking to just set up a race on your own, and unlike me, you have a couple of friends that can play with you, you can select Start Online, Rockstar Created Races, and it's under the Drift Race naming convention in alphabetic order. Alternatively, and the one I use the most, is pull up your phone, select a quick event, and under Featured, you can have a drift racing, which is where it'll be listed. This will find you an event and place you in a competition. Once you're in a lobby, you'll see some options, and these are normally defaulted to non-contact, and most people do use that. But remember that obstacles that people hit, like lampposts, are still shared contact and can hurt you in the points. Now, you can set up the starting grid order, and if you would like, you can use the boost on go. And even if you set that, you may or may not want to use it. The more time you spend sideways, the higher your points. The last one, the finishing multiplier, is a multiplier based on what position you come in once the race finishes. So if you want this to be more of a race than a drift, you have that option. But it will still be your drifting ability, I find, that'll determine your success or failure here. World record and personal best are displayed as options when you race by yourself, but I don't see where you can actually view that yet. It might be some sort of error that these are under the racing section, and therefore there should be some sort of leaderboard, but one hasn't been added yet. I hope it'll come along down the future. I feel like I must add that these races are treated like regular road races, meaning your regular road racing history will apply for any grid position changes, and your win-loss will also still apply. It also applies as a tuner race, meaning it will affect that scoring, as well as fill any general tuner meet rewards, wins, anything associated with how you perform there as well. Once you start the race, you'll want to know how to succeed to win. So you'll see here your position, your multiplier, your drift, which is another form of points, and then your total, which is your total points. First, ignore that position number. In fact, if you finish in last place according to that number, you're probably going to win. I know that's confusing, but you'll get it in a sec. We'll talk about this sort of backwards, but the goal to win is to have the highest total score among your competitors. But the way you accrue the points isn't exactly intuitive. Think of each drift as a chain of drifts that adds to your drift point total. The drift chain collects the points, and the more points you earn during that chain will increase your final multiplier. But these are floating points, meaning the drift points don't count, and the multiplier isn't applied to them until you finish the chain of drifts in what I like to call cashing out. You cash out anytime you slow to a stop, you go straight for too long, or more importantly, finish the race. If you bump into something, you can lose your entire multiplier, you could lose some drift points, and if you crash, you can lose everything under your drift point section. Now, I know that's no bueno, but this is high risk and big reward. The highest multiplier you can attain is ×5, and since it doesn't get applied until you cash out, you obviously want to make sure that whenever you do cash out, you're at that ×5 multiplier. To help you bump up those rookie numbers throughout the race, you'll see these towers, and if you drift close to them, you'll get a 1,000-point bonus from precision drifting. This 1,000 is applied to your drift points, meaning it can be lost if you crash. There are also green areas called drift bonus zones, which increase your points and your multiplier faster, but in general, they are slower sections, have higher risk, are more technical, so you may have to decide if the increase is worth it, if you can get the most out of that area once you're in it, or if coming first is more important. Think of the green areas as double points while earning points, if you are earning points, but if you can't stay sideways in these areas, you may get no benefits from them at all. For a moment, let's talk about advanced point scoring. To give you an idea how your drift points are counting up, it's based on your angle and momentum. A shallow angle only nets you up to 4 points, but a big angle like 90 degrees can get 10 points or so per frame at 60 frames per second. At first, you may be tempted just to swerve back and forth, and although that looks great on the surface, it means that for 20 degrees of every drift, you aren't building any points or very little points at all. Sure, that'll keep your multiplier up, but think of it like life support. The goal is to drive through each area using the natural turning of the course to continue a big drift versus many small ones. Try to flow through the track, maintaining a drift throughout. So don't think of the sections as gaining more points. Think of them as how many points they're capable of and how many you're leaving on the table by not using it effectively. Any section you aren't sideways is a section you're losing points. Meaning instead of just getting each multiplier up to ×5 and then cashing out, you're leaving a lot on the track. The goal is to drift the entire race and end still sideways. If you can drift the entire race from start to finish, you should have a perfect chance of winning with what I would call a perfect drift. At first, this may feel like a daunting task, but rest assured, in this very video, you've seen multiple perfect drifts where I went the entire track from start to finish only to cash out at the finish line. Again, this is a high risk, high reward way of doing things, but if you want to be the best, you'll need to either do one big drift or make sure that every drift ends with that ×5 multiplier. Drifting is fun and easy, and you don't need a custom car to do it. Find a car that works for you and just start drifting. Get the hang of cornering. Find the car that fits your playstyle. This is a whole different style of racing, and people are still trying to figure it out. So now is the opportunity to acclimate to it, but remember, those people are doing the same. So rest assured, there are people that are already starting to figure out perfect drift. So don't go out and try to win every race coming in first. Find a line that makes you the most points and steal those victories. Drifting is fun, and I hope they expand it more down the road. Hopefully, they will add some more cars. Cars like the Schwarzer, for instance, come to mind. The Banshee is another one that was very popular. I'm sure a lot of people have cars they'd love to see that can drift, and I think it's something that could be added to the game since it uses the dynamics of the car that is available for the drift. But we'll have to see down the road what Rockstar decides, and we'll have to leave it up to them. I'm still waiting for some more tuner cars, so I'm not going to hold my breath. Still, this is going to be a fun option. Here's a video that can help you understand each drift vehicle too, and after you're done there, I hope you can find success too. So I hope you liked the video, and until next time, I will see you at the track.